Welcome to this explainer. Today, we're cracking open an everyday mystery that's probably annoyed you for years, but you just kind of accepted it as a fact of life. We're talking about rechargeable batteries. If you're anything like me, someone who totally geeks out over the tiny hidden mechanics of how our everyday world actually works, you are gonna love this. We're about to uncover the secret behind why your battery charger acts the way it does. And trust me, the answer is delightfully nerdy. So let's dive right into this common annoyance. We have all been there, right? You've got a single dead AA battery from your wireless mouse or maybe a wall clock, and you pop it into the charger. But the light doesn't come on. The charger just sits there, completely lifeless, until you go digging through your junk drawer to find a second battery to fill the slot next to it. For years, we've been conditioned to believe that this is just, well, how battery physics works. We assume there's some deep chemical reason why these little metal cylinders absolutely demand a buddy before they'll accept a charge. We basically just assume it's the battery's fault.
But here's the surprising truth. You don't actually have to charge AA or AAA batteries in pairs. It's not a physical requirement of the batteries themselves at all. The blame lies entirely with the hardware charging them. Your batteries are perfectly capable of being charged solo, but that cheap plastic box you plugged into the wall is actively preventing it. So why on earth would manufacturers design a device that intentionally frustrates us? Well, to figure that out, we need to pop the plastic casing off and look inside.
Section 1. The cheap circuit secret. Follow the money to the internal electronics.
Like so many everyday annoyances, the answer really just comes down to manufacturing costs. Manufacturers do this primarily to keep the battery charger as cheap to produce as humanly possible. It's an engineering workaround that saves them pennies, but obviously costs you convenience. Let's look at the actual power requirements for a second. A single, standard, rechargeable nickel-metal hydride battery, whether it's an AA or a AAA size, only needs about 1.2 to 1.4 volts to effectively charge. That is the actual chemical requirement for one single unit to get filled back up with juice. If a charger wanted to charge just that one battery, it would need a dedicated circuit designed to deliver precisely that 1.2 to 1.4 volts directly to that specific slot. Now, what's really interesting here is the math the manufacturers use to save a buck. Instead of building a dedicated circuit for every single slot, budget charger manufacturers use what's called a series circuit. Basically, they permanently link two slots together. Because they're wired in series, the charger's internal computer doesn't even see two separate batteries. It basically treats them as one single, much larger battery that requires roughly 2.8 volts to charge. By doing this, the manufacturer only has to build one charging circuit for every two battery slots. They've effectively cut the cost of the internal electronics right in half. And this brilliantly illustrates why your single battery won't work in these standard chargers. Because the two slots are wired together in a continuous series, putting just one battery into the device leaves the electrical circuit completely open. The source material describes this perfectly. It's like a bridge with a missing segment. Without that second battery filling the adjacent slot to actually complete the physical connection, the electricity simply cannot flow. The circuit is literally broken, and your single battery just sits there completely ignored.
Section 2. Dumb versus smart chargers. Not all battery chargers are created equal.
This cost-saving engineering hack doesn't just explain the annoyance of pairing, it actually creates two entirely distinct tiers of consumer charging devices on the market today. And knowing the difference between the two is absolutely going to change how you buy electronics. Let's compare them. First up, we have paired chargers, often referred to in the industry as dumb chargers. Because they monitor the two batteries as a single unit, they are completely blind to the individual batteries themselves. They only look at that combined 2.8 voltage, or honestly, sometimes worse, they just use a simple, unthinking timer to decide when to shut off. On the flip side, we have smart chargers. These higher-end devices don't use that cheap series circuit trick. Instead, they feature a dedicated, independent charging circuit for every single slot on the board. Just think about the absolute freedom a smart charger gives you. Because every slot is its own independent system, you can bypass the paired limitation completely. Need to charge just one battery for your wall clock? No problem. 3 batteries for an odd-numbered flashlight? Easy. You can even mix an AA battery in slot 1 with a AAA battery in slot 2. And you can totally mix batteries that have entirely different starting charge levels. The charger analyzes and feeds each slot precisely what it needs, completely independently. It's a real game changer.
Section 3. The risk of mismatched pairs. When cheap engineering degrades your tech. Now, let's raise the stakes a bit. We know dumb chargers are inconvenient, right? But can they actually be harmful? What happens when you use a standard, paired, dumb charger, but you put a fully dead battery alongside a battery that's still half full? Let's walk through this chronological failure step by step. Remember, a paired charger assumes both batteries are absolutely identical and starting at the exact same charge. So step 1. Because one battery was already half full, it reaches 100% capacity way faster than the dead one. Step 2. The charger doesn't realize this. It's looking at the combined voltage of the pair, and because the dead battery is dragging the overall average down, the charger thinks the single 2.8-volt unit still needs more juice. Step 3. Blinded by the average, the charger just keeps pumping power into the entire circuit.
So the absolutely crucial point here is this. Your dumb charger will actively continue to force power into your perfectly full battery simply because it's trying to finish charging the dead one right next to it. It is literally overcooking your good battery. This forces the full battery to dissipate all that excess energy as heat, causing it to overheat and significantly degrading its chemical lifespan. Yep, your attempt to save a dead battery actually just damaged a perfectly good one. Crazy, right?
Section 4, the ultimate charging takeaway. How to protect your batteries and your wallet.
Okay, now that we've completely torn down the mechanics of the cheap circuit secret, what do we actually do with this knowledge? Let's turn this engineering teardown into some actionable advice so you can stop ruining your rechargeable batteries. First off, if you already own a paired charger and you're stuck using it for now, you need to change your habits. You should only ever charge batteries together that were used together in the exact same device. For example, take the two batteries out of your TV remote or your gaming controller and charge them as a pair. Because they worked together, they were depleted to the exact same level. This prevents that dangerous voltage mismatch we just talked about, keeping the average voltage accurate and saving your batteries from getting cooked.
But what if you want to upgrade and finally have the freedom to charge just one battery whenever you want? Well, when you're shopping for a new charger, don't just look at the brand or the price tag. Turn the box around and look for 3 very specific words: independent charging channels. If the packaging advertises independent charging channels, you know for an absolute fact the manufacturer hasn't used that cheap series circuit trick. You're getting a smart device with a dedicated circuit for every single slot, the whole shebang. It's pretty amazing, right? A minor, everyday frustration that we all just assumed was a strict rule of chemistry turns out to be nothing more than a manufacturer saving a few cents on a circuit board. It really makes you pause and look around at the rest of the tech on your desk. If the battery pairing myth was just a hardware shortcut, what other everyday annoyances are really just cheap engineering in disguise? Keep asking questions, keep looking under the plastic casing, and I'll catch you in the next explainer.